Hello, and welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Scint.
I'm Axion.
And we are continuing through our playthrough of Mario Adventure and our discussion of the fairy tale Cinderella by many authors, and I have a puppy. Hi!
Hello, puppy dog.
So last time we talked about the basics of the plot and some of the more common adaptations of it and the things they tend to have in common. And it's kind of surprising how very different many of them can be with very few elements put together, but you can still recognize it as the same story. And it's made it, honestly, a very rich tapestry for allusion.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was waiting to see if you had anything to weigh in. So, as mentioned before, an allusion is basically a very specific extended metaphor, possibly an extended metaphor. It's just a pop culture reference as we'd put it today, but it's usually, just a reference to another work. I'm sure I've defined this before, but you never know if someone's new to it. So, what can you think of that people can just say, like, one word of, and you know they're referring to Cinderella?
The usual one in... Well, that was not what I wanted to do. The usual one in my experience is glass slipper.
Okay, so what is it? What do you mean by glass slipper?
It's generally... Well, obviously in the context of Cinderella, it's her literal glass slipper that she lost while escaping the palace to get away in time for all of the magic to be undone at midnight. But the illusion is generally something that is, something that is, like, an extremely specific identifying mark.
Alright. I think that's fair interpretation. So, obviously, I'm being that picky about your definition because this is honestly what I ask of my kids when I talk about allusions with them, is you have to understand not just where the metaphor's coming from, but what it means, otherwise it's meaningless gibberish. It's like, okay, this is not a shoe, why are you saying it's a glass slipper? Because it's the thing that unmistakably proves this is who the person is and that they are worthy of this. I would actually compare it to Excalibur.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, only Cinderella can wear the slipper, only Arthur can pull the sword from the stone. So it's a little bit of an odd combination there, and now I'm picturing Cinderella in a ball gown wielding the sword from the stone.
I am okay with this.
I figured you would be. But yeah, it's if you don't have a way to contextualize what you're referring to, it's useless as far as its purpose as an illusion, because if you can't interpret the metaphor, why make it? So, yes, the glass slipper is probably the most iconic one for Cinderella because everything in most adaptations of Cinderella centers around she is the only one who can wear the shoe, which makes her the one that the prince wishes to marry. What other illusions can you think of, though?
Well, there's, evil/ugly stepsister, which is just basically used for anyone who is... what's the word I'm looking for? So,
the unchosen one.
Yeah, basically. Someone who clearly desires the thing, but cannot have the thing for reason. Yeah.
They are part of the story, they are not the chosen one in the end, and usually they have been actively detrimental to the heroine's progress, or hero's progress, depending on what kind of story you're telling. And yeah, in Cinderella, they take on the role of antagonist because they want to be the princess. Not that they can both be, that would be a really strange kingdom that has different morals than most of their morals are trying to teach.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do a polyamory type thing, but... Again,
please, the king will take a courtesan. It would not be called that. One of them gets to be the official, and the other's just there. Or maybe it's just like, stepmother's like, I don't care which one of you gets it. The other, we're all gonna live in the castle anyway.
I mean, I think that is something that happens in one of the adaptations.
The only one I can think of is possibly misremembered Tumblr summaries of Cinderella 3: A Twist in Time.
No, it's Perrault. At the end, Cinderella lets the sisters move into the castle and gets them married off to lords.
You just told me bringing up Twist in Time.
Also, yes.
Too late! But yeah, the ugly stepsisters are there, and yeah,
and
they
of
can
course,
be.
evil
They do come up.
stepmother.
Yeah, evil stepmother is very common, and I think in more than just Cinderella, but this is probably where she has the biggest role, because honestly, a lot of fairy tales are dealing with times wherein, you know, not all families could provide for their children, and it's more palatable, for some reason, to have the step-parent be the source of antagonism rather than the biological parent.
Well, the obvious explanation is, if they're not really your child, then you're going to be more amenable to just, you know, treating them as nothing. Whereas if they are your child, you're going to have that emotional connection, and you wouldn't treat your own child that way.
1,000-yard stare into the distance with reality.
I was about to say, that is at least the theory. It obviously does not always work that way in practice, as both of us can tell you.
It's having known enough people who have gone through situations where the story of the evil stepmother or evil stepfather or whatever is just absolute bunk. Yeah, it's one of those very uncomfortable fairy tale archetypes, of which there are many, because we're talking about stories from quite a long time ago. It's a different time with a different social understanding of the way things are, and it has to be taken with a grain of salt, even as many of these stories can be very uncomfortable for some people because of how they touch on actual things. Eco boom.
He goes boom.
So yeah, we have the glass slipper, we've got the evil step family. I think a really big one would be the fairy godmother.
Ah, yes, the fairy godmother. Make all your dreams come true.
Yep. I think that one's fairly self-explanatory. Fairy godmother is a deus ex machina that you only get if you've been a very good girl, aka doormat. So, yeah.
Did the dog react?
Nah, she's just laying down. She's quite calm, but she is being a very good girl. She would get a fairy godmother. The godmother would be treats.
Godmother wouldn't be treats.
I should not have said that. Oh no. I'll get you treats after the recording, I promise.
Yeah, the godmother wouldn't be treats. The godmother would give her treats. There's difference.
Stop saying treats.
She can't hear me.
She can hear me. But yeah,
that
fairy
was
godmother
a dirty
is.
trick game.
Yep, fairy godmother is probably one of the other most iconic ones. Like, we have our step family, we have our slipper, we have fairy godmother, but it's kind of odd that the fairy godmother is as iconic as she is with regard to Cinderella, because she didn't show up until the Perrault version.
Well, a lot of that is, to be blunt, because the Perrault version is the version that seems to have most strongly influenced the Disney version.
All hail.
All hail. And the Disney version is the one that most of us base our knowledge of the fairy tale on. I, having forgotten about the stuff from Into the Woods, and...
How could you forget about it? I talk about it incessantly.
And, being unfamiliar with the Grimm version until I listened to an audiobook recording of it in preparation for this, at which point I sent a message to Scint saying, "What in the world?"
Is this the part when I remind you that in that summer camp I was in middle school, I was Cinderella's prince because we only had like 3 guys sign up for the camp?
I do recall that story, yes.
So yeah, I got to stand on stage while they were cutting their feet open. Well, not really, because it was a summer camp theater thing. But yeah, I was on stage for all of that, while my steward stood by and just like dumped the blood out of the shoe while the next person's getting ready. That was a wild play to be, and it was fun. I really wish the junior version had done the second act, but probably for the best they didn't, considering we were like 12. For those who haven't seen it, Into the Woods is wild. Don't watch the Disney version. All hail, but
All
the
hail.
Disney version sucks.
We praise our corporate overloads, but we do not agree with everything they do, obviously.
We offer lip service. What is that? Oh, it's Mario with a torch. I thought it was a
It's a
weird
magic
dinosaur.
wand. No, I killed the weird dinosaur.
Yeah, I thought that the wand was the dinosaur's head and neck, and...
Ah. No, Yoshi's not in this game.
Well, good, we'd probably run him off a cliff the way we're playing.
I mean, I would do that anyway.
You monster.
That's what you do with Yoshi.
So, yeah, I think another common illusion with Cinderella, which, again, doesn't show up until the Perrault version, would be the stroke of midnight.
Yes.
Everything is over, go home, your time is up.
Yes. Since, in the Grimm version, none of Cinderella's stuff is enchanted, it's just given to her, and it's just supernaturally awesome and beautiful. There's no time limit. Compared to the Perrault version, where the fairy godmother gives everything to her, but is like, all of the magic turns off at midnight, which does have some literary and or mythological roots to it. In a lot of old myths, magic, especially fairy magic, fades with either the turning of a new day at midnight or at the coming of dawn. As the new day is a new period in the power of the magic, and either the magic is intrinsically tied to the day and therefore cannot extend past its borders, or the rising of the new day and the dawn and the new sun burns away the magic of the old day.
Or it could just mean that fairy godmother needs to invest in extend spell when she levels up. Meta magic, yo.
Well, fairy godmother is a sorcerer. She doesn't get any bonus feats.
Would the glass slipper count as bonus feat?
No, it's an artifact. I don't like the snow.
Are you talking about the game or IRL?
Yes. The snow makes everything slippery, and the weather is
I know.
randomized.
Well, so you're playing in Kansas.
More or less. I was afraid that would happen.
So, can you think of any other illusions?
Prince Charming.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to play with that stupid flower.
I do kind of want to note here how little character development the prince actually gets in any of the variations we've really seen, except for the plays. He gets a little bit of personality developed in the Rodgers and Hammerstein version when you get to see him actually interact with Cinderella outside of the ball. And then there's the Into the Woods version where,
All the princes are assholes?
yeah.
They get their
Cinderella-
happily ever after, and then they all get bored.
Yep. After singing a duet with each other, not now, puppy, I'm talking about fairy tales. After they sing a duet about, dang, I can't get my hands on the girl I want to pursue. That was a fun song to sing. Agony beyond power of speech.
And you hear that, and you're like, oh no, he's suffering, something must have gone horribly wrong, maybe he's lost his girl to some horrible thing, and no, it's, I'm bored and I want to go women chasing again.
Well, in the first act, it's just they're doing the Misery Olympics, where it's Rapunzel's up in a tower and she wants to come with me, but I can't get to her, and Cinderella is so pretty, but she keeps running away, and I'm so fascinated by her. Then they get married and happily ever after, and then Act 2 starts, and then they're like, yep, I'm bored, and then the song ends with, back to my wife. So yeah, they want to go skirt chasing. And they both get to, because Sondheim does not give you any illusions that the world is a good and kind and fair place. But yeah, for details on that, go watch Into the Woods. It is the best.
And again, not the Disney version.
How do you take an inherently comedic musical and take all the humor out of it? Oh yeah, you cast James Corden, that'd do it. But yeah, I can think of at least, well, we should probably keep talking about Prince Charming. What exactly does Prince Charming mean?
Basically, he is wish fulfillment for the... Whoops. He is wish fulfillment for the protagonist.
I wonder if that's why he gets so little development, though it could just be, you know, we're relying on fairy tale archetypes, so everyone's a shorthand for something else, and really all Cinderella wants is, you know, to escape her situation. So the prince doesn't need to have much personality to be an improvement on what she's dealing with. Like, if literally all she cares about is, I will take care of you, I will treat you like a person, and you don't have to live in the kitchen anymore. Upgrade. This is absolutely an upgrade.
Yep.
But yeah, he's usually fairly undefined, just bland chivalry. Which, you know, is nice enough, I guess. But I can think of one other major allusion to Cinderella.
Go ahead.
Cinderella's story. Just a rags to riches, come from nowhere, underdog becomes the champion story. The story itself is an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah. Or has become one, rather.
Yep. I mean, rags to riches, basically everybody thinks of Cinderella. Like, it's not the only story by any stretch of the imagination where a poor person becomes wealthy, but Cinderella seems to have codified it.
Cinderella's story does tend to come with the implication of getting out of your poverty by way of making new connections, be those marital or some other way, versus doing so solely upon your own capability. Though there is some overlap.
What I find funny is, like, considering it starts with one of the stereotypically girliest things ever, which is becoming a princess and marrying up, it's so often associated with the very stereotypically masculine world of athletics. All these sports stories are Cinderella stories, which I propose a uniform change for these athletes. Would be great. But this also means, and you're not gonna like it, Rocky is Cinderella.
Why wouldn't I like it? That's hilarious.
The true champion can fit into this glass boxing glove.
Adrian!
And on that note, I think we've kind of exhausted this topic.
Alright. We will see you all next time.
Bye!